I'm so glad we get to do this.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course.
So nice to get to know you more.
Of course.
Very nice to be here.
because I wanted to. You're part of the team with Engelvokers Miami now, and
Yes.
I wanted to get to know you better. And you were telling me that you were in Miami. You moved here how long ago? It's been a while, right?
Since 1989.
1989.
Then it's been more than 30 years.
Wow.
Yes. Miami's home for me now.
How do you like it?
I love it. This is home. Like, I'm from Colombia. I love my country as well. But most of my family is now here.
Really? Okay. How did that happen?
Well, we came here when, things in Colombia were very tough. The starting of 1990s, everything that you see in the TV about like Pablo Escobar and all that. Then my parents pretty much left everything because they just don't want us to be there in the middle of so much chaos.
Oh, okay.
And then we came here, I was 12. My brother was 16, 17. And that's pretty much when we started doing a new life here.
Huh.
My parents left everything, which that gives me a lot of admiration for them.
That is crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy for
Very
people to
hard.
just leave everything, take the kids, and how did they get affected by the Escobar era in the Colombia? Like, did they were they involved in?
Well, the thing is that when you're in Colombia at that moment, like, everybody was kind of like in the middle of the chaos because many things started outside the cities. But as time started, they actually came inside the city. Then heard a lot of, kids being affected, kids school kidnapped, like, there was a lot of violence. And, we were still little, but imagine like teenagers trying to contain them in one place when you want to go out with your friends, have fun. And I think they just were so afraid for us to go through all that violence.
Your parents?
My parents.
Well, I bet. Were they doing? What kind of work did they do when they were
My
in
mom was
Colombia?
a housewife.
Okay.
In Colombia, most of parents stay, like my mom stay home, take care of the kids. My dad was like, he worked for a big office. It was like the manager of the office where they provide oxygen to companies.
Okay.
Then they both have, very good lives. And they pretty much give up everything to come for a better future for us.
Did they do the same thing in the U.S.? Did they do the same thing in Miami?
Actually, when they arrived, for my mom, like, from being like a housewife with service, she become a nanny.
Okay.
To, be able to provide. She working home. She cleaned houses as well at that moment. My dad become working in anything that was available at the moment.
Because he was doing the real estate management in Colombia? Is that?
Well, he was like a director for an office, but he didn't know English.
Oh, okay.
Then they needed to start here, and when you move to this country, the immigration documents, you have to go up the process, wait. Then they pretty much struggle a lot at the beginning. Eventually they were able to have a better life. But at the beginning, I will say the first 15 years were very challenging for my parents. We were going to school, then...
Is it just you and your brother?
Yes, me and my brother.
And then you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest. I'm the baby.
The baby.
The babies.
You still have a good relationship with your brother?
I do, yes.
Yeah,
we're
good.
very close. We're really good friends. And actually, he's like, he came here. We get here like middle school, high school. And he was kind of my example to follow, my role model. Because he was the one who, very disciplined, going to school, working full-time, going to school full-time. Then he was the one that I always look after. I was a little bit of a rebel in my teenager years.
Well, the big brother is important.
It is. It is.
It's an important position, I think.
I think it's a role model, believe it or not, because you always compare yourself to your big brother, in a way.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't have one. I am the big brother.
Are you the only?
No, I'm the oldest of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they look into you if you're the oldest.
You'd have to ask them. I don't know.
I'm sure they do.
Maybe.
Always. They always compare to you in a way.
Well, hopefully I can give them a good example.
I'm sure you do.
Well, I did move here.
And all of them live back home?
Yeah.
And nobody, like, do they come to visit? Do you see them often?
Well,
Talk to them?
I was fortunate enough to see them for Christmas. Then I went to Canada last week for 48 hours for lunch.
Oh, nice. He just went to lunch for Canada. Wow.
It's funny when I say that because it was for lunch with a buyer for a large development that I'm selling in Canada.
Okay.
But no, I didn't get to see them then. But there a few of them. I think my mom, my sister, two brothers. They're coming end of April. I think end of April until the May 2nd. And then one of my younger brother is in France right now. No, in Italy right now with his girlfriend.
Is all of them boys? Do you have any sisters?
Four boys and one girl.
Okay.
So it's me, my brother Ben, my sister, which she is married with. She's married to one of my best friend from high school.
Oh.
Yeah, they have two kids, two daughters, beautiful daughters together now.
Were you a jealous brother?
No. Well, no, not jealous. just don't fuck it up. It's the only girl. So if you're serious, then it's fine. And if you're not serious, then get the fuck.
Yeah. I'm sure like the only girl with four brothers, should it be a little bit tough?
Well protected.
Yeah,
I'm sure she was. I know someone in the family was jealous, and some brother was jealous, probably.
Jealous.
In a way.
I don't know if it was jealousy. I don't know if it was jealousy, but it's really nice though, because she's the organizer of the family. It's very cool to have one of those, because it takes a women to balance the boys.
True. Very true.
But it's nice.
It's needed.
I think so. It's cool because we have a great relationship now.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
I think so. It's nice because my dad is so fun to see the parents become grandparents.
Yes.
It must be a very crazy part of life as the parent then have grandchildren.
Well, in Colombia, they say that you love your kids, but you love more your grandkids. Because, like, your kids, you have to discipline, you have to, you don't know what's going to happen. When you have grandkids, you don't have to worry about that.
Are you a grandmom or right now or no? You
No.
look too young for that.
Grandma.
Grandma.
No.
Grandma Jenny.
I don't have kids.
Oh, you don't have kids. That's
Yes. I was married, divorced, no kids.
right. No kids.
I have nephew and a niece. Then my parents are grandparents.
Okay.
And I see, like, my dad was, the guy, like, no. With my niece and nephew is yes, which is nice. I think it's very nice to see the parents enjoying, like, that stage with kids.
Yes.
Because I think with us, they have to be very strict. They want to make sure we grow up for better. With the grandkids, it's just to spoil them.
That's funny. Yeah, it's true. Though.
In a way, like, because that's why the parents are there.
I know, but it does help though to have the parents close.
Yes.
To help with the kids, and I think it's something that we kind of forgot how to integrate family into raising the kids though.
Yes.
To keep family close.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays people travels more and they go away. They go and live in other countries. I think back in the days, people tend to stay within the same community. They never left home. It was not normal.
Well, yeah, we see that a lot. Those change through real estate, right? We
Yes.
see it a lot in Miami. There's a lot of foreign nationals that own property in Miami.
Yes. Well, I would say that Miami, most of the people are like from every other place. Like, it's very hard to know like 100% a person that is from Miami. Like,
It's true.
They're second probably, they were probably born in Miami, but they're second generation only or fifth generation.
Well, then not so long ago there was nothing here basically.
Yes.
I see photos from the 1920s, the 1940s. I saw like Collins Avenue in South Beach. There's nothing.
It was just like blank, like
know.
nothing. I remember when I moved to Miami, like you went to South Beach and the only nice place to go was Mango's.
Really?
That was the
Is
only.
that still open?
Yeah. It's like, a very popular destination for tourists, but there was only like 2 blocks. And other than that, it was mostly like, like more retired people, like buildings were very old, no hotels. Then it was more like a retirement area. Like when you walk around there, it
It's
wasn't
been
like a party, it wasn't bars. There were like only 2 blocks of stuff.
But it's just happened in the last few years, though, that the transition of people that kind of see Miami as a real destination but because, well, at the end of the day, the state does a great job in providing incentives for businesses to come here. Have you seen Jeff Bezos? I think he's gonna save 600 million by moving his home address to Florida.
Well, remember, Florida doesn't have state taxes.
Yeah.
Then when you compare to New York or to California, that's a big advantage.
Or even to
That's a
anywhere
lot of
else that has
savings.
one. It's
Yes.
if the state tax, what's the state tax average on income? It might be what, 10%, 15%. I don't know. But if it's like it's savings, because you're there for and then basically now you come to zero. You just have the federal income tax.
Yes, and there's like a lot of other companies that are moving to South Florida because of tax advantages,
Hmm.
because it makes such a big difference.
Have you seen some of those impact into your business?
Yes, I definitely have seen it. And Miami's always been like, especially the areas that I work the most, which is the Brickell or Miami Beach, which are like metropolitan areas. They're areas of a lot of transition. Then you see a lot of
How so?
people, because you see a lot of people coming for work and then they move. They start like in 1-bedroom apartment, they move to 2-bedroom apartment, then they probably get married and then they have a kid, then they go to a one house. Then especially like Brickell, the beach, there's areas of a lot of transition. Then people don't stay in their same property probably for more than a year or 2 years.
So there's a lot of turnaround.
There is a lot of turnarounds in those areas. And then, yes, my business is, in some time we were like highly South American investors. Miami's been through cycles. I think 1992 we have a big hurricane, the Andrew hurricane,
Okay.
which it kind of destroyed some part of the South where Homestead is. That area was none. Then after that, a lot of developers start coming into Miami, and I think that's when the city started growing. Like there was a lot of money, people start building. The city kind of took a big breath. Then in the early 2000, 2004, 2005, the market was like zero interest. We have a lot of people buying from South America, from here, the condos, the construction. Then when the market went down with the financial crisis, we had a big boom of Brazilians coming to Miami to buy, Venezuelans, because a lot of foreclosures. Then there was like Brickell, like all those towers that you see there, like they were like just letting it go for very low prices. And then people start coming in, buying 1, 2, 3 apartments cash. Because at that moment, the banks were not lending money. Then there was cash buyers, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, then Mexico. Like some people from North America, but mostly South America.
There's a lot of Canadians too that own
Canadians too.
properties. Yes.
They loved Sunny Isles. That was their area.
Well, Hollywood.
And Hollywood, yes.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, 16, the market kind of slowed down a little bit and just become stagnant, like not going up or down, just there. And 2020 came.
But then it's funny because when we talk about markets slowing down, it's not like there's no transaction. It's 20% less than normal, 10% less than normal.
Which I think that's the normal market.
I know, yeah.
I think like those things are peaks.
Yeah.
And the peaks is like a cycle. They last just a little bit of time. Like when you go to a down, it lasts a little bit, then the peak just lasts at some time. Which, let me tell you, for me as an agent, I don't like working on peaks. Because it's very challenging, because you put an offer, then it's 10 offers, everybody's fighting, your clients get frustrated, you cannot negotiate, you cannot work. There's a lot of agents coming in the industry, which is nothing wrong. I think there's business for everybody. but it's very challenging.
But people underestimate what it means, though, to give a level of service for people to actually work with you and provide value, because it's not just only the
Showing.
setup. It's not, the showing doesn't mean anything. It's one of the. Well, for me, I never liked the showings. I always thought it was a waste of time, kind of. So
Yes.
kind
it
of,
is.
right? It is a little bit.
Is, let's say, the fun part, but it's the boring part.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so time consuming too.
It also depends. Like, for example, for when you're doing commercial, like you do more commercial, it's different because
Yes.
sometimes just the numbers. Residential is
Well, it's different. It's different because if you do the work well for residential, then you shouldn't do a lot of showings, because then what you want to do is you want to limit the you want to to proceed by elimination for the what's going on in the market, right? And because if you work well with your buyer or whatever, with people that wants to buy the home, then you have to kind of reduce the option to what's actually possible and what they can do, because
yes.
because otherwise you don't want to go see 40 house, then you're never going to be able to make a decision, because at the end of the day they all look kind of the same.
No, at the end of the 10th, you don't know anymore. You just don't remember anymore. Yeah. But I think that's the important thing of the buyer, in a way, being educated by the agent, and the agent also being able to educate the buyer in a way. Because I think right now with all the technology, people go into Zillow, they go to Realtor.com, and they start finding, and sometimes the properties are not available. They're not what they show to be. Then I think that's when a good agent have to actually educate the buyer and say, hey, let me help you, because we just not look at pictures. We understand, we know, sometimes we know the properties as well. We make questions to the agent to make sure that when you go and see the property, that property have what you look for. Because sometimes they show some part of the house, but let's say that you don't want carpet in any of the bedrooms, just to give you an example. And they have 3 bedrooms that they have carpet. And in the pictures, they don't show those 3 bedrooms. Then you want me to go and show you the place, but that place is not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, yeah, because you have to understand, I think, because at the end of the day, there's this saying that you always want to play the man, right? So this is why you want to understand who your client is.
Yes.
Because you want to know what they're gonna like, you want to know what they're not gonna like. Then obviously then you can put them in front of the right property for the right environment that they want to be in. Because at the end of the day, you're not just choosing the place, you're choosing the area where you live, and then that change all of your habits.
Correct. They say the more questions you ask, the less properties you show.
Yeah.
Then you have to ask a lot of questions. Then you know exactly what the client is looking for.
How do you find out though? Like what do you do? What's your process? Do you work more with sellers or buyers?
Right now I work mostly with sellers. I was taught when I got my license back in 1987. If you don't list, you don't last.
Yes, that's true.
Which I think is kind of true. Just not because buyers, there's nothing wrong, but it will drain you more.
Yes.
Because, you can show so many properties, so many homes, and something can change. The buyer, probably decided that, I decided that this is not the right time to buy.
Yeah.
And you just spent a month with the same buyer. When you have a listing, then it's easier because you can sell it, or
cards to play. And
correct.
Like, here, exactly, this is what I've got.
Anybody will come, and at some point you will sell your listing. Of course, marketing. Then I do most listings. That's been my niche in the last years. I'll say the last 10 years. But of course, if a buyer comes along, I will definitely help them. But I would like to ask questions like, what are you looking for? Time frame. Make sure that person is approved.
Serious.
And they can be serious, but the question is, can they do it? Like, talk to a bank, get a approval, make sure that you have your finances in order.
So what kind of challenge do you have when you want to do the transaction here with your sellers? Like what kind of how do you do the marketing? what area do you like the best to work in? How does that work?
I think with sellers, the challenging part is always pricing the property
Yeah.
because, of course, everybody wants the highest price, and sometimes we don't determine the market. You and I, we don't determine the price. The market determines the price. Then whatever has been sold.
And then you have a bracket, and you need to find because then you can identify a bracket that's gonna most likely is going to sell in between, right? This is how it works. You have comparables that sells for, let's say, 1,200,000 to 1,350,000, and then you're gonna have the house, and then where does it fit into those?
Correct.
Is there something better for the one that we're selling, or is it worse than what we saw? And then obviously there's this human tendency that we tend to overvalue the thing that we own.
Correct.
And
We all do.
and they actually did a study with mugs.
Oh, really?
Yes, they with mugs, and then as soon as the person would own the mug that they were given to, then I think they would value the mugs for a few dollars, and then if they were to buy the same mugs, same people, they would only offer 10 cents or 25 cents or something like that.
See, we wanna get more and pay less.
Well, I think it's something
Yes.
because intrinsically, I think we're all a little bit selfish.
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, it makes sense though, because if you think about it, then all of your job is providing value for someone else before, and then you get paid after. The what you get paid on is the value that you provided to the market.
Correct. Yes, and I think that's the challenging part, and especially, for example, we just get out of a seller's market.
Yeah.
And when there's a seller's market, they become, okay, properties are high, I deserve this, and in a market where there's seller's market, people were willing to pay whatever for whatever. You can just put something for sale, and they will buy it.
Well, yeah, because because when it goes up, people tend to assume that it will always go up, and then
And they want to put it even higher. Then when you're trying to get out of seller's market, sellers kind of stayed in that stage.
Yeah.
And even though you try to tell them, hey, the market has shifted a little bit, there's more inventory now. This is what the market is selling, because I always tell, I don't determine the market. For me, the higher the price I sell, the better for us. But I want to make my client happy, but at the same time, it's not up to me what the market determines. But that's where they start putting a lot of resistance in the price. And I think they don't compare apples to apples sometimes.
what do you mean?
Because they want to sometimes tell you, okay, no, but the apartment next door sold for, say, $2 million. But the apartment next door, it was completely gutted, remodeled. They changed floors, kitchen, bathrooms, everything. And then your apartment is probably at 2010. And the other one is remodeled 2 years ago. Then that's when you cannot compare that's no apples to apples. Because even though if you're in the same building or in the same street, that is a big difference.
Yeah. The funny thing with real estate, how it's valued, especially for residential real estate, it's basically all subjective at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's basically all subjective. How much the money costs, when I need to put down, and then how much do I like this, right? Because then at the end of the day, that's gonna be someone might like it a little more, and then maybe they're not gonna mind paying a little extra because they like the location better.
Yes. And what I'm finding in residential, which I think that always commercial is more simple, because commercial is about numbers. That's it. And
ego.
locations and egos. Totally. But what service you provide. Totally.
And egos.
But believe me,
I'll
residential is egos too.
Yes.
There is a
Listen.
lot of emotions in residentials.
Of course.
People are emotional even in the color of the bathroom, the kitchen. There's a lot of emotions in residential.
You see it right away, though. You see it right away when you actually get there. If you know, because I don't do that much residential, just for friends and families.
Yes.
When I get referred to, and then I was actually doing a favor to a buddy of mine. He's looking for a rental in Miami. We were looking at rentals today.
It's funny because I have a friend. He's from from Turkey, and he's like, he wants to start working in real estate, and has a strong character, businessman. And I'm like, you cannot go to residential. And he's like, why not? I was like, you may lose your license really fast, ended up in jail, kill someone. Because I only imagine you when they start telling you, oh, but the kitchen, I don't like it here, or this door. You'll be like, but what the hell? Just change it. Just change the color. Like, you will lose your patience in a minute.
Yes,
And I say,
yeah.
like, you will be very dangerous.
Well, have you noticed how people change when you deal with them in their work environment versus for their personal life?
Yes,
There's a huge shift,
totally.
especially for residential real estate, because you can talk to the same person at their work and then the hunt for the house, two different person,
Totally.
totally different.
Totally.
What kind of difference have you noticed?
I can mention a lot. Temperament, like trust, like friendly versus, not friendly. It's been challenging when you deal with personalities. And we cannot take anything personal because it's not personal. It's emotional for them, and you just have to breathe in, help them through the process, explain sometimes more than once the same thing.
Yeah.
But we love them. They're the clients.
Well, I mean, look, this is what I say to almost everybody that I work with. If at the end of the day you look at your phone and you see my number, or you see my contact appear, and then you cringe, and then you're like, oh, then we can't talk. We can work together. We can't.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. I fired two clients at some point.
That's true. But if you cannot talk to somebody, then you can, how are you gonna do business with
No,
them?
you can't.
It's impossible.
And we're like, I always say that you're not gonna fit with everybody. It's how it is.
It's hard to learn that though.
It is.
It's hard to because for everybody there's some people that you're gonna get along great, and then there's some other personality that you can't fit.
Yes.
You can't fit.
And I think for me, real estate is like a passion. I remember when I finished my school, I was like, okay, I'm going to study. I went to school. I graduated from finance, but I started doing real estate. And
Why did you start real estate if you were studying in finance?
Well, because back in that day, real estate wasn't really a career. Real estate became a career after. Like, I used to go to Florida International University. And at that point, they were starting the program for real estate. But it was, I say, like, I rather do finance because it's more like a general career. If something happens, I have a degree in finance and I can work anywhere. Real estate was going to be very just real estate. Then I decided to get my degree in finance because it just gave me like an overall experience. And I like more numbers in general.
Yeah.
But when I started doing real estate, one of the things that I found passion, and it still is, sometimes I want to, maybe I will think myself in jail. Sometimes it's like, how did I do it? And I think, no, I have a family, they will suffer. No, I will not commit any kind of crime. But for me, one passion is helping people. And I think this is something that, if you think about it, buying a property at any level, somebody that can afford a 200 or 2 million or 5 million, is something that is unique. It's your home. It's the most expensive asset you will have.
For most people, this is true.
For most people.
Yeah.
Some people don't care, but for most people, it's the most important asset they have. They're going to raise their family. Then I think helping people find their home and, dealing them with the emotions, for me, it's always been nice.
You always like that. How do you do that though? How do you help people find their home?
Well,
What's your process?
Well, I always talk to them, ask questions, what are you looking for, or sell their home because they're going location to closer to their kids or to their family. Then I always ask a lot of questions. And I think when you ask a lot of questions, you also get to know people more, which is nice. I like to know people. I like to get to know people. Then you realize that, probably I have sell clients property that they have raised their kids in there, and you see all the emotions. And then when they start talking to you about, oh, I raised my kids' ears, and they start crying, then I think that's when you start creating bonds, like a bond with the clients. And that's nice. I think it's nice to see how memories are in every place for people, because every time they tell you about, like, when you're going to get a listing, which is what I do the most, they always tell you like a story, like, oh, why do you choose this place? And then they start telling you, oh, I choose this place for this. They always tell you something, and it's nice.
This question, though, how did you choose this place, is a great one to get the selling point of the property.
Yeah.
Because most likely the reason why this one choose the place, it's gonna be the reason the next one is going to choose the place.
Correct. All right. Then I think it's just that process of talking to them, seeing what are they looking for in matter of, there's journey. Then in that conversation, you can help them find their next home or help sell this one faster. I think in 2020, what I find out a lot, especially like in areas like Pinecrest or Coral Gables in Miami, a lot of people they were like empty nesters because many kids already left the home and they live in a 1 acre home with 4 or 5 bedrooms, and they were ready to move closer to their kids. Then you see a lot of these people selling, and then you see the stories that they were telling every time they just, all the memories they have from these places and how emotional they were, even with the buyers. Because when they have emotions attached to a place, they want to make sure whoever buys this place is going to love them as much as they do. Then in some cases, I even told buyers, bring me a nice letter, about your life.
I did that a lot too.
And then when they read it, I was like, they get emotional attached to the new buyer.
Yeah, of course, it's a great thing to do, though. Especially if you have a situation where there might be multiple offers, sometimes just a letter can help make a decision. It's a nice thing to add.
Yeah, you want to know the place is going to be continue to be taken care of.
Yes.
You must have a lot of people with all of your knowledge on Miami that look to you for expertise on the area to make it home as well. So I'm sure they trust your opinion on the area a lot.
Well, I think that for real estate, it's important to do farming. Like, of course, if I have a client that wants to buy in an area that I don't work, because you kind of know Miami at some point already, so many years. But I try to just farm areas and try to stay in an area and specialize in that area, because it's not the same. I think it's different when you become specialized in something.
Well, because especially for the residential agent, this is very important to specialize in. This is what I never liked about residential.
Yeah, because
because you have to be the expert in your area. Everyone needs to know you. You need to know everyone. This is how you.
You're building trust. You become
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You kind of need to be kind of the face of the area for anyone that wants to move.
Yes, and they want to make sure because every area is very different, and even within an area, like if you go to Miami Beach, South Beach is one thing. If you go to Mid Beach is one thing. If you go to North Beach is one thing. Even if you go to the Venetian Islands, which is every like it's their islands, homes, but an island has particular thing. Then in every area you move, with even in these areas, there's stuff within the areas that you need to know.
Those challenges with the construction, with the location, and also the value of the agent is kind of recommending also the small place with the things that's nice to know, the businesses in the area and everything like that. So and this is what's so different with the commercial side.
Yes, because in commercial is where the business is. And it can be Doral, it can be center of Miami, can be La Pata, and it doesn't matter. It's whatever is convenient.
Yeah.
What kind of commercial you do mostly?
I specialize in land development.
Okay.
I specialize in land development because when you go from nothing to something on the land, then this is the biggest creation of value.
That's very nice. And do you guys, but mostly like for land development in residential lots or commercial, industrial? What kind of
So
land development?
yeah, so mostly residential and industrial.
Okay.
Because I like the supply chain. I like the industrial part because obviously the data center, the logistics for light industrial, those buildings, they're a very interesting asset class because then the business has have an incentive to rent those place because most of the time they have a better return on investment putting the money, the down payment that they would need to get the building.
Mm-hmm.
They have a better return when they invest that money into the business and marketing and things like that, rather than putting it into the real estate. So then there's a big opportunities for real estate investors to acquire those buildings to service the companies that they would rent.
Okay.
Yeah. So for industrial, this is the opportunity, and then I do also large developments for residential. The largest that I'm doing, we have the mandate now. It's for 2,400 unit in Canada.
And do you work only like Florida, Canada, or do you work?
Well, so I do. So the cool thing is that I know enough people. I have enough contacts and things going on in Canada, so I can do the business remotely.
Oh, that's
And
perfect.
I'm here full time. I still have a lot of things going on in Canada, and we're putting things together to be able to. I think in 2 years, maybe 1.5, 2 years, we think we're going to be able to deliver turnkey industrial building for assembly line for companies that would want to move their manufacturing to Mexico.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
I think
really nice.
in 2 years, my friend Kevin is doing a project now and then we believe that we can be integrated vertically from the development of the land. We have the financing in place. We have contacts to do the construction. And then the assembly line, we have the guy that we're doing, my friend is doing the development now. That guy has been doing assembly line for all of his life, 25 years.
Wow.
And we think we can deliver a turnkey product to businesses that want to move their manufacturing from Asia to Mexico.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how you see global, like how we can become so global, like in real estate. Like how can you do business nowadays like that? Because before it was more challenging.
It is.
Now you can, be here. And that's one of the things that I like our company, that we can, it's easier for us to be connected with agents all over the world.
Well, it's pretty amazing though, because just today my partner was in the Bahamas with his dad. They're looking at residency over there.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking to one of another client that's he's in vacation in Mexico, and the other one, we had one in Montreal in the Bahamas. I'm here. And then we can do everything over Zoom, and
It's perfect.
it's wild.
And that's why I think that real estate is becoming global right now. Like we can sell anywhere in the world, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you need partners in every single place, but I do believe in working together.
But if you have a large enough network, it becomes really interesting to kind of try to piece the things to piece everyone together.
Yes. And I think working together with people is
Better.
is a lot better. Like sometimes some people can become very greedy and they want everything for them. And I think you can do a lot more when you work with people.
Yeah, the Zoom thing is actually the video conference. They're actually quite amazing. This technology that we can work with, because I never did that before COVID, before 2020. I was meeting everyone in person. The year before, I had met almost 260 buyers that year.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
that's a lot of people to go see.
A lot.
That's a lot of 1 hour.
A lot.
And a half.
A lot of driving. A lot of
And
conversations.
then that year I had, I think, something 15, 20 listing also. So those appointments as well. And then the personal stuff. And then COVID happened. And then we had to switch everything virtually. And the crazy thing that I can still almost not believe that it happened. But this is the testimony of how good the video conference are. Is that I did not see any change on my closing ratios for my contract.
Amazing.
No change at all, no substantial change. So it was basically the same, and then I started to use it more, and then now I'm able to do all of my business remotely almost.
Well, and actually it was great because before pandemic, like people needed to come for closing, notaries, like after pandemic, they're allowed, like things change in Florida at least. You know, they were able to sign documents with a Zoom notary.
Yeah.
Then nobody needed to travel anymore, which it was a big advance.
Well, those are huge gains of in productivity.
Yes, because for a lot of people, it make it easier because they say, oh, I cannot travel, then I just buy the property and I still will be able to continue my transaction.
Yeah.
Then we have, you know, it was a tough time, but I think we advanced technologically and immensely in many ways.
How do you see the job changing with AI, with everything that's going on in the advancement in technology right now? How do you think that's going to affect us?
I think it's going to affect us because then people, but I think it will be for good.
I think so.
I think if we know how to take advantage of it, I think it's going to give us a lot more tools to be able to work and be more productive and be able to connect more and emerge markets in many different ways. Honestly, I'm trying to be ahead of the game. I do remember back in the 2010 when the videos started. Remember people started doing YouTube videos? I think that was 2010 or not?
I don't know. Around that
somewhere
time,
around there that become popular.
2008, 2010 maybe. It was the Vine time.
It was the time that people started doing videos. And I do remember the guy that used to do my marketing. He's like, Jenny, we need to start doing videos. And my answer was, oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. People like, that doesn't work. That is not, being very like, not trying to accept the changes. And I think that was wrong in my part back in that time. And I think that's when you have to learn from your mistakes. Because, I was in the industry already for 10 years. I had my ways. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. People don't like that. Those videos, And then at some point, just videos become the thing.
It's funny how we all assume that people are not going to like this new thing. And then at some
it's going to
point
go away and this will be nothing. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing.
People is not going to like it. People is used to their own thing. And then now I was like, no, it's not going to happen to me the same. Like, I'm going to go ahead of the game because, we have to adapt.
Have you started integrating AI in what you're doing?
I'm in the process.
In the process?
I'm in the process. Honestly, I'm not the best in technology.
Me neither.
And I know that I like it. I think there are some other people that they just have it in the DNA.
Yeah.
They are born with it. Then I think that's when we have to leverage. And
called geeks and nerds.
Exactly.
We need to leverage.
Listen, we have to have them in our lives.
Hey, it's the most important, guys.
Very important.
Yes.
Because remember, we need to work together.
Yes.
Exactly.
We do.
We all have our strength. We all have our capabilities. The mage need to work with the fighters, and then the rogue guys, and then we need the archery guys for long distance attacks. We need to have everybody.
Yeah, you got to cover your weaknesses.
Exactly.
Yes. And I very true. And you know what? We need to learn to leverage, because this was told by a very successful friend of mine before I get too frustrated because I wanted to learn to do this. Like, I'm going to do it. And she's like, how much time do you take doing that? I was like, forever. And she's like, pay someone and do it for you, because your time is money. Then if you spend 5-6 hours doing something, that's 4 5 6 hours you can be doing lead generation to clients. contacting clients, and then that hour, how much is costing you per hour?
This is hard. I think this is hard for everybody to know where to put the line in terms of what do I delegate, how do I delegate it. This is very it's been hard for me to figure that out, because those things, those little tasks that you do, we all do them, like doing dishes, laundries, email, all of those tasks that consumes a lot of times. They're a big time waster. I had a meeting with Karine, the AI consultant. This is one of my friend. She's a AI consultant, and the massive opportunities is basically to integrate the AI into analyzing documents, producing new documents, kind of reviewing everything, reviewing contract, what it means, if there's something that you're missing, what's the idea of the contract, how everything applies, all of those things, the analysis of documents. How long did it take you to do? We did some projects, some analysis of some document the other day, just for fun. To see how long it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Something that would have taken a few days to review and analyze and resume to, like, and do, like, to be able to kind of
Create the report.
Exactly. It took less than an hour.
Wow.
Something that was going to take a few days of work for someone. It took less than an hour to have kind of the same result.
Yes.
It's
amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Think about all of the time that your employees are potentially wasting on tasks like this, that you can streamline, and then you can review, and then you can actually spend more time doing what the people are hired to do, because
Yes.
nobody's hired to review those. They're hired to review it and explain to the people, the other people that you're doing business with, to make sure that we're taking the right decision. At the end of the day, it's one of the reasons, right?
Correct. And I think AI has a lot of benefits if it's useful well. It can become our best friend in this business, because the amount of time we can get saved with, market studies and documents and reviewing. Of course, you think, okay, like the bad part when it comes to people, you feel like, how many people probably are going to be substituted by this AI. But I think that, there's always going to be different ways to work it out. And I think if you just, it's not about rejecting what is coming in, it's accepting it and see how can I learn, become better, and
adapting. I mean, that comes with across all industries, right? Is there's always something new. The idea is that we're always innovating. So yes, jobs will change, jobs will be replaced, but new ones will be created, right? Hopefully there's new things to learn, and
of course,
those that continue have learned to adapt. And if you don't, then you don't do as well.
Well, it's the same thing as saying that internet is going to destroy jobs, which it did, but it created a bunch of new ones.
exactly. I think it's about adapting, as Whitney says, like we need to adapt to the new changes and see how can it helps for us to better and, make our business better. Do you imagine we can have an AI showing the place?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
No.
I don't know. Maybe.
Robots?
Well, we can see. We're gonna have those NPCs with the goggle.
Like you, walking in the place,
Yeah.
just showing the place.
But look, this is some.
Is that out there?
Probably.
It is. I don't think it's as there that you're like, maybe
But
it's already
That could be
there.
It's
huge in
it's
real
been out
estate.
there.
Imagine how much time you would save if you
Imagine
Yeah.
that you just send your
it's the virtual.
AI virtual.
Well, it's kind of this. It's kind of like this with the Matterport virtual showing or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah, but it
that you
must
can walk.
So
feel more
you can do
real.
well. Yeah, it's not there yet. We've been using that, I think, in 2017 or 2018 with those little goggles. But it was not.
It's not the same.
Not the same. It was
Not
back
yet.
then. It was putting the phone on the thing, and then you kind of saw the.
No, I was
3D.
talking like 2050, where we actually gonna walk in the place without us being there, but it's us
What would the hologram
You never
maybe?
know. Yeah, like a hologram.
That could be cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
I
Like
see- I
a
see that,
hologram
though.
of us walking into the place and, the client, and we're talking to the client, but we're not there.
But you're still gonna need the consulting and then the advice and the expertise in the area, and then
Yeah, but we'll adapt.
we'll adapt. Of
It all
course.
depends what generation. Like, I think depends it what generation you're working with, because like being in the industry, specifically
Well, yeah. Sometimes it's still hard to send documents for electronic signatures to some people.
correct.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I remember when I started in the industry, I was really young. Like, I remember seeing all this.
How old were you when you started?
I got my license when I was 18 years old.
Wow, that's very young.
I was really young.
How did that go in the first few years?
It was challenging because they see me really old, really young.
Yeah.
Then
Not to
they
take
don't
it
trust
seriously.
you because you don't have
No kidding.
experience, which is true.
You
It's
want
like,
to tell me what? Who are you?
yeah, they're like, you're a little kid. How do
Okay,
you
kid,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you go to the doctor or surgeon and he's like 20 years old, you're like, are you going to be my surgeon? You trust more like a seasoned doctor for some things.
I want my palettes to have gray hair.
You see? You see? You see?
Because if something goes wrong, they may have already experienced it.
But
it's hard.
there is something
Yeah.
with experience in a way. Then those first years were kind of challenging because I was really young. I started working on the south part of Miami, which was more like a residential, say,
Okay.
middle class.
So around Coconut Grove.
Killian,
Okay.
down south. And then 2000, I say I want to sell in Brickell. And I remember my broker
That's
at that time, at that moment, he was like, oh, that market is so hard. You don't know anybody there. You're not going to make it. Like, he literally told me, you're making a huge mistake. And I was like 21. And I was like, okay, I'll go.
Watch
And I try.
Worst case, I start over at 20.
Not a problem.
There's no
And-
problem at 21, right?
Yes, you don't fear anything.
Who cares?
And then I moved to the Brickell market, 2000. Brickell was nothing as you can see it. Like, there was only one place to go happy hour, literally one
Hmm.
place. At 5 o'clock, dead. If you went into the weekends, no traffic, like completely dead. Because it was
Really?
like no movement. There was not much of condos in there. A lot of second homes from South America. Then it was really quiet place. Very different.
Yeah, now we hear it's referred to like as the New York
Manhattan.
Within Manhattan. Oh, sorry, Miss
Yeah.
Manhattan. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Then, but what did I tell you this? Sorry.
You were
You-
telling
What
us
was the
about
main-
being young,
Ah,
and starting
young,
and jumping
yes.
in Brickell. Mhm.
And then you start like, I didn't know anybody within, that was more like of a high end industry. And I was young and I said, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try. Nothing is going to happen. And I started working very young and I like it and I keep going, but I lose my point. I don't know. I was going to say something.
You changed your farming to Brickell, and then your broker told you that you were going to
Yeah,
fail.
but we were talking some,
Maybe you're getting too old. Then.
maybe.
Maybe.
Forget stuff like that.
He already called me old the first time I met me.
Don't do that.
He's like, oh, your age. I was like, okay. No, now I got my point. Sorry.
See?
We're saying that at that time, like most of the agents were like 30s, 40s, 50s. Then they have another method. Then I will say there's like new cycle. Then I will say that probably the last 5 years, we see like those agents already retired. They don't want to do real estate anymore. Then now we're seeing a new wave of agents coming in. We are like probably under 20s, And of course, I'm on my 40s. Then you see how they were totally different. Like the way, they go into places, they just open the door and they just see it. Like it very different. Like they buy properties just FaceTime
Yeah.
with floor plans. And you're like, are you sure you're not coming to see a place? No, I don't need to see it. Then you see, as you were saying, people, the new generations, they think completely different. And it is true. I think there is an relation when you go, you show the property. It also depends the kind of client. But I think the new generations, when they will call you old.
Soon enough, yeah. I was calling myself old back, like not so long ago. I was like 30. Wow, that's
No, but how old are you?
31.
32.
Oh, you guys are very young. I remember my 30s. They were amazing.
You just started the race before us.
Huh?
You started the race before us.
Yes.
I like to say that. I think it's a cool way to approach it.
Yes. I think every age is very nice.
It keeps getting better.
It keeps because you can become like know what you want, enjoy more. You kind of, if you don't like this,
Yes. Yeah.
you don't have a problem. Say no, I don't care. Then you become more like self-secure, more confident,
Self-aware too.
self-aware, and then I think that's nice. That's nice. I don't know if everyone is the same, but I enjoy my 30s and I love my 40s.
Yeah, it's time goes faster too, for some reason.
Yes.
And when I that's funny. It's actually funny because when I turned 25, I remember because I just had bought a Jetta, a Volkswagen Jetta, black, and I called my dad on my birthday, and we started to talk, and then the funny thing is when he turned 25, he also bought his first car that was a Volkswagen Jetta. And we were talking about time, how it's relative to the time that has passed as well, because the time is now, so it's just the day, the 24 hours of today that you live through, and then you go to sleep, and then you start again tomorrow, right? But those hours, every day that pass, those hours become smaller in proportion to the one that has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And then my grandfather, when he was alive, he told me that in his 70s it was going much faster than his 40s and 50s and things like that. Because obviously the time that has passed is less. Is the day is always smaller in comparison to all of the days that has passed, and then in proportion it becomes a little smaller every time.
But what do you think that happens? Because actually, time is the same for everyone.
You're doing less new things.
Yes.
You
You
think
haven't
so?
need
I think so.
because if you think about it, you still
And
have the
this is
24
why-
hours of somebody that
Yeah.
is really young.
Yeah, the time hasn't changed. You have, well, more experience and you know more so what to expect a little bit.
Well,
Or it becomes, I don't want to say like robotic. For some people it is, but yeah, you're doing less new things. So I think that's why they say like the secret to, well, enjoying your time, because right, it's the most valuable thing that we have is to always have, I'm going to butcher the saying, but it's about being like young at heart or staying
Staying young.
Staying young, yeah, even in your soul, because then you get to enjoy life a lot more when you're, as you grow, you're still looking to do new things.
Yeah, but if you look at it through a math perspective, then 1 over all of the one that has passed, it becomes
Sure.
smaller proportion each time.
Sure.
Yes, but again, the question will be why, when the time is the same.
That's true. Well,
It's because
I don't
it
know.
doesn't.
It was just a perception, maybe.
Maybe as Whitney says, the not having like something to look forward every day, or because I think in your 30s, for me, my 30s were like that age, like you wanna just be very successful and have a lot of money, and I still do, but but I think you also care for other things now, like you also want to enjoy time with the family. Like it's just not about success financially. I think you look for other kind of, spiritually be okay, enjoy family, enjoy people you love with, like dedicate time to many other things.
Well, first of all, if you cannot have fun, what's the point?
Correct.
Then if you can't, if you want to have fun, then you want to, and then you want to figure out. Obviously, you're gonna have more fun if you're good at what you're doing.
I think we have to have passion for what we do in a way.
Yeah.
And like, why do you do it? Why do you enjoy it? Why do you enjoy real estate?
Well, I always okay. One of my favorite game when I was a kid was Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Okay.
and I was building amusement parks, and I always liked to build stuff.
Like Monopoly?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and I'm not very smart, so the thing is there, and then you just I have this building, and also number two on my goal this lifetime is I want to develop and build skyscraper.
Nice. What kind of skyscrapers?
The one with my name on top.
Ah, look at him. Wow. Can I get your signature now? Nice. Would you like to build it here in Canada?
Well, it doesn't really matter. Well, I'll build it where there's some land that we can develop. It's mostly gonna be here. It's mostly gonna be somewhere in Canada. Now I'm selling those, so then in a little bit of time, then I can position myself into developing those.
That's nice.
Yeah, because we're launching an investment fund that's going to do debt for real estate and private lending with some partners. We have the industrial that we're trying to get to put together. We're building the consulting team that's going to feed the fund, and then because we want to take position into startups. We want to help startups get position for an investment through the fund to be actually able to scale. Because at some point, the limitation for the business is actually the influx in marketing. Because sometimes you say you have the marketing budget is $100,000 a month. You could take up to $1 million. You could take the additional revenue, but then you don't have the liquidity to be able to dump $1 million a month into your marketing. So then when we get to that point, then the fund becomes interesting. Then we can supply those.
Where are most of your investors come from?
So most of Canada and here. We have some ties with a client of mine. She's from Russia, and then we're putting some nice things together.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of private bankers, and they're saying like a lot of these companies are going more like investing more like in real estate, like in private equity, which is good. Because, of course, real estate is something that is more like stable money. It's there. You build it, it's there.
Well, also because the interesting part with real estate as an investment is all of the incentives that you have for owning the real estate.
Yes, taxes.
The depreciation, the taxes. Because at the end of the day, it's a deal that the government is making with real estate entrepreneurs to provide houses, to provide warehouses, and then because obviously it takes a lot of money to get that off the ground, and then you need to have those financial incentives to make sure that it gets done, because it does require a lot of capital to put those projects together.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, real estate has always been one of the most important investments for every portfolio.
Well, it's the real one.
It's the real one.
It's the one.
It's the one that you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that makes a very big difference. And you see, like, real estate, it will always, unless something very drastic happens, but it will always keep the value. Of course, depending on the time, it will take some time to appreciate. But in general, real estate most of the time keeps value and grows in value.
Yes, it does move through. It's a good hedge against inflation.
In general,
it's
yes.
a good hedge against inflation. Although, if you look at, I have saw real estate analysis of the value of real estate adjusted for inflation through 100 years, and it's actually an asset that is stable or losing value over a long period.
When you look at the long term.
Yes, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have the maintenance. You're gonna need to put a lot of money to make sure that the real estate stays relevant, and then adjusted for inflation. But it's a good hedge against inflation, and then obviously the tax incentives and those sort of things, they do help a lot.
Yeah. And again, I think real estate, the investments, like they're always going to go into real estate. Like as a developer, it's beautiful. I think when you go into the developer area, it's really nice creating like cities, areas.
Yeah.
is like
Very, very challenging though to assemble everything and they get all of the permits and work with all of the people that work on the project get it off the ground. There's actually a huge amount of work that needs to take place in order to do those. Like the project that I'm selling in Quebec is this project. The developer has been under contract since 2019. But he got a good deal, but then he had to put $2 million uh, he, of his own money to do some work on the land to make it right. Then 2019 to now, and then now we're ready to sell it. It's a lot.
imagine
it's a
that's a
long
lot of time.
process.
And I think it's the money it requires, and that's why a lot of these developers, they look for investors, because you need to have liquidity to be able to move everything as fast as possible. Permits, cities, streets, like a lot of things that you have to.
Yeah, and also it's a different expertise to have the person develop the project and then the person having the liquidity to make sure that the project gets developed. So then we have to work together with investors, because most people, they're gonna pool investors together. They're gonna have the people actively working on the project. They're gonna take a stake in the whole project. Then there's gonna be investors. Then a little bit of debt. And then we can assemble the financing for those projects, because obviously the great thing about real estate is the leverage,
Yes.
basically 5 to 1.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah, it's the only asset class you can have. You can have leverage like that.
Which is 5 to 1 is.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, yeah. So basically, for normal real estate, let's say we just take a house or any apartment buildings. General rule is you're gonna put 20% down, and the bank's gonna finance 80%. Obviously, it's not always the case. Say for land, then you can have 50% leverage for land, but still, like you just need to put half.
Yeah, which is it's nothing like to buy something
Yeah,
like.
and then if you have your project that is ready to build, then the bank is taking. Then this is the cool thing, because then the bank is going to take the value of the land for the entire project. If you have the permit, if your project is ready to build, everything is approved, then they're going to finance the whole thing with the construction loan, and then the value of the land on the book is going to be the value of the land as if the project is here, and then that can be taken as your down payment, because most likely the value of the land is going to be enough to
be able to
cover the equity part for the loan.
Because they do like a highest and best when it comes to land.
Yeah.
Then what they do is they give you the value that the most profitable that land can be. If you build, like what can you, depending on the zoning, if you can build like a shopping center or like a commercial with residential, they always give you the highest and best value for the land, which that makes give you a lot of leverage.
Exactly, because real estate is local in nature, so then the value of the land is really depending on what you can do on it.
It's not what you have, it's what you can have.
Possibility.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
You know, that they do the cost approach value in that matter, because then whoever owns the land can leverage with banks, loans.
Exactly, because because then all of the this is why land is cool, because they don't make more of it.
Because what it is what it is. And I think that's why land can become more expensive as the areas start like growing and being developed. And like I think you were telling me about something about Ocala the other day. Yeah. And I remember when in Ocala you were able to buy an acre of land for $5,000, and nobody wanted to go in there.
That's not so long ago.
And that wasn't too long ago. And now, because they're doing all this, the ranches and the horse things and everything, how that land has appreciated and take value. Then I think most people, like even in Miami, like many of the area where there's big developments going on, those areas were bought by people many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm. You just look at the guy that bought all of Wynwood. How he developed that. That was a masterful deal.
A master. And actually back in the time, that area was an area that
There was
nobody
nothing.
wants to go
I
in.
know.
No, nothing. You were afraid to go in there.
Yeah.
It was like no way, like.
Well, it was
And
old industrial. It was dirty. There was a lot of crime.
it was
the funny th-
dangerous.
The funny thing though is right beside. It's so well located.
Yes.
It's so well located. This guy, I don't remember his name, but I think he bought something 46 hectare of land, like basically all of Wynwood. And then he basically changed the zoning. He started to do well. He didn't change the zoning. He started to do events. I think because I read an article a few months ago on that. He started to do events. Started to put together some things
Tony
with artists.
Goldman.
Well, maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
It was the
he
first one?
bought many blocks of abandoned concrete warehouses, and a series of artists to come and paint murals.
Yeah.
And what
Came
year
in.
was that? Did he say? Because I think that was probably in the early 2000s.
It's not that long
It
ago.
wasn't that long ago.
And he bought the whole thing for a few $1,000,000. And then now you can sell an acre if you want to do, because this is the crazy thing, like, because if you can fit, say, a 300 apartment unit on 1 acre of land, then your 1 acre is worth about in between 5 to 15%, depending on money, on the cost of money of the whole project.
Yes.
So, say the project is worth, I don't know, if 350, 400 an apartment times 300, that's what, 120 million.
Yes.
Then 5% of that, 10% of that, it can be worth between 50 and 100 million.
Well, if you think about it,
2004 to 2006, the
Imagine.
Goldman properties acquired more than 25 properties and central warehouses in the central warehouse district of Wynwood.
imagine. And I'm sure they didn't pay what they sell
Not
right
much.
now.
Yeah, no.
And it
No,
wasn't that long.
He made
Yeah.
millions and millions
And millions of
dollars
dollars.
of profit.
And
But that was a huge bet at the time.
and I think exactly. And eventually when they bought it, I'm sure he contacts and they changed the zoning department, because the zoning that they become like where you can have offices, you can have retail, and you can have residential. Then you can have the 3 components in one thing. I don't remember now how that's residential, but that was huge. And that's actually was after he bought. He kind of started working on it, and they changed the zoning.
Yeah, this is what it is when you create the value.
Yes, because then you have the power,
Exactly.
Yeah, about 35 million is what one article has it at.
What he paid?
which
Yeah,
is nothing, because then
Wild when
he
you
sold
think about it.
one lot at 30 million.
He probably made 10 times at least.
At least.
At least. Like
And I think after that, they tried to become Alapada, that area. That's going to be the new thing. And a lot of people start buying in there.
well, we're with partners we have we're looking at some developments to sell in Hialeah.
Okay.
There's a developer there that we have a few developments. But it's growing though. It's growing for workforce housing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's needed,
Yeah.
because with the high rates of rental market, I think they need to have workforce rental is they have limited rental prices.
Yeah. I'm not
Like
sure.
city?
I'm not sure exactly
Affordable housing.
How it works with the affordable housing. There's Section 8 and things like that. For the workforce, I think it was 35% of the project that has to be below market rate, or it's some calculation. I'd have to check, but it's some calculation based on the median income. They don't have it's a percentage of the building that you can't have over the median income.
Well, and I think the city and the government gives a lot of grants to those developers.
35% of the median income that should go to housing, and then rent can't go over that to have those grants. And there's also tax abatements and things like that you can work on.
And developers like to work with that. because of the grants.
Obviously,
you get.
because then the taxes are a huge part of the expenses when you develop a project. So then if the city can work with the developers to make sure that let's say they give a tax rebate, it's called tax abatement. So then they give a tax credit for say 7 years. Then the developers can put those savings in his pro forma, and then he can afford to make it way cheaper and actually get the project off the ground and actually provide revenue for the city over the long run, because obviously the building is going to be there in 7 years.
And I think a lot of small developers in Miami are going that way right now because more affordable housing is needed, especially with the rental market being so high and everything.
Well, the problem is the way you make the housing affordable is you build more of it.
Of course.
If it's unaffordable, is because there's pressure on the demand, on the offer, because the demand is too strong, and then obviously this is hard to deal with because obviously Florida had a massive influx of people in the last few years. What's the stats? I think it's 400,000 a year net that moved here.
I think was one of the states that it has more people
the-
coming in.
Yes, the most. Yeah, Florida is the state that has the most people coming in.
Yeah, I think the number per day was 900. I read that somewhere per day, something like that.
It's a lot of people.
Just in South Florida.
I know, and then no wonder rents are high.
Yes.
But even last year, I think I saw there was one of the year that we produce more rental units since the 70s for construction permit. I think it was 74,000 construction permit.
Wow.
But still, it's not enough. There's gonna be a little lag because there's been a lot of for absorption. It's gonna take a little while, but over the long run, then the demand is still over what's out there, and then that's why the rent increase.
Oh, and a lot of people have actually moved out from Dade. Miami-Dade is a very expensive place. Broward, you still find a little bit more affordable.
Local people, it must be hard though if you lived in Dade County for a while, then it becomes very expensive.
I always told, because my friends or people that I know, they're like keep complaining, oh, it's so expensive, and I was like, we're very spoiled. We live in a beautiful city with really good rates, and of course, the moment that our immigration, like most people from New York, when they were paid so many, expensive, for them this is very, more affordable. Of course, the market change.
Well, and also there's so many places here. The state is actually pretty big.
It is.
And there's 22 million people living here. It's not that many.
Well, and a lot of people have moved, like, especially when they're starting families, they have moved more to, like, St. Pete or Sarasota or, probably North Florida. I think a lot of people is going to Orlando, Tampa, which are really nice places. They're still in Florida. Or, they're trying to avoid Miami or Miami-Dade, because I think it's the entire county getting expensive. And even Broward has, come up a little bit more expensive as well.
Yeah, that's true. Do you like shows about real estate, like Selling Sunset and things like that? Do you watch those shows at all or no?
Not much. If I have to tell you, I don't know. They told me it's the best, but I don't know. I enjoy like I don't know, Lincoln Lawyer. Like I like the other kind of business. I do real estate all the time. I don't know if I want to watch TV. Real estate.
TV is a time sucker.
I like TV. I'm not a person that I need to watch TV every day. I like to read. I like to listen to music. Like, I like some quiet times as well. Then I watch TV. It's entertaining. I like love movies.
Which one is your favorite?
Romantic movies. Cinderella Man.
Cinderella Man?
Yeah. Maybe it's too old for you.
Maybe.
We'll watch
I think mine is How to Lose Your Guy in 10 Days.
That's a chick flick.
I know, but I like it.
This one is a little bit more deep. But that one was good. That's a good movie too.
It is a good movie.
Yes, it is a good movie.
Sometimes you have to put your brain that off.
Yes.
It's important.
And then when you watch movies, you kind of get out of reality for a minute. And then, but of course, I don't like horror movies. Not my thing.
This is funny how it works, though. I don't like to be scared either. I never enjoyed the
suspense, like life itself. You live in suspense. We don't need more suspense. No?
Yeah. How are we doing on time? It's 9:35.
Yeah, I'd say less than 10, so she can.
Yeah, I need to go by 10.
Need to go by 10. Well, actually, you know what?
What?
Do
One
you have
last question.
One last question.
What
Go
is
ahead.
something that you're really looking forward to, if it's whether personal or work, for the rest of this year?
For this year, grow my business, but in a way, not necessarily just to make more money, but to be able to help more people.
You mean with like charities and things? or-
Yes. Like I one of the things that I want to do with my group, which is Arca, we want to, as we make money, we want to help people that are in distress, like single moms that probably they're having a hard time paying their rent, and people that are losing their jobs because they're struggling, that we can help them, cover expenses. Because for us, it's like, imagine like not having the uncertainty of not being able to pay your rent or not being able to bear the mortgage. And I think one goal of us this year is to be able to make more money and be able to donate in that area specifically. Because some people can leave Miami, but other people can't, just because, they're divorced and they need to stay in the place, or their family is close. Or
Do you have a charity that you work with for that?
yes, my brother and I, and my sister-in-law, we have a charity that is called Nemaya Calling.
Okay.
And every year we help people like schools, and we do the turkey drives, Christmas and school. Then we're going to work together for that. Then I think that's where our heart is
Nice.
at the end of the day. And if we're in real estate, then I would like to help people in real estate.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you can help some of them find whether their first home or something that.
Yes. Well, eventually, when we
be able
become,
to give
when I be able to sell these $20 million properties in Miami that every day they're becoming more popular, then we probably will be able even to help somebody with a down payment for a house. Because if you think about it,
Through the charity?
yes, we'll do everything through charity. Because that would be amazing. Imagine like if you can tell somebody, this is just $20,000 for your down payment. Some people, for having a house is a long dream.
Yeah.
Like for some of us, we have the privilege and the blessing that, okay, I can buy this and I can sell this. But for some people, that's it's a far away a dream, and they don't see it impossible. And in Miami, there's areas that if you go, you see the other side. You see,
Yeah.
5 people living in this place, literally.
Yeah.
Then that will be our dream, to be honest with you.
Where do you see that going, though? Like, how can you implement? How can you make it grow?
Well, of course, like our plan is like every percentage of the deals that we close. First, probably we cannot give down payments, but as our business keep growing, then a percentage of that money is gonna go to the charity, and obviously, that's gonna be full transparency. It's gonna go to a person.
Toward helping people
Yeah.
finance their down payment and
Exactly.
help
So I think ideally, our dream is that we can actually start giving people down payments to buy their homes and help them, and to find the dream. And of course, I think our priority will be like people that they're just struggle, like single moms, or somebody that they're immigrants and it's hard for them to keep it up, or their family's big. Then
Did you start the charity already? Or
the
no?
charity exists already for a few years
Okay.
because we help every year.
Right.
Like they help, like at some point we do human trafficking, like people that work with human trafficking. We help the people that help the human trafficking. We help people with that they were immigrants with kids.
Not organize the business though, like fight.
The
Human
yes.
Yes.
Then that's organized. Yes, it's being assistant. I think for 10 years or more.
Okay.
Then every year we do stuff.
So what do you do then for so is it to help people that were victims or human?
Well, we had help like the institutions that help the women that have been suffered for human trafficking. And for example, there was a school down south that they help kids that their parents were immigrants, and some of the kids, the parents were deported and they just were in places. Then we help test institutions. We give them like the food or, provide them whatever they need. Then we do like 2 big events per year. Then that is already been running.
Okay.
But we want to do...
When is the event?
Usually we do turkey time. We provide 50... Last year we did 75 families. We give them the turkey meal for them.
Nice.
And then we do like a back to school drive with, supplies and everything. Then usually those are the 2 big events. But
okay.
I want to add, through Nehemiah and Colin, we want to do help people have a house.
That's
I want to
good
be
initiative.
very successful in real estate. And when I mean successful, is sell like 20 million, 25 million, big business, because that will be more money to be able to put there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great.
That was great.
That was great. Thank you very much. Where can you? Where can we find you? Do you have a website? IG?
Yes.
What's the website for the charity?
Well, I can share it with you. It's Nehemiah Colin. You can find it in Facebook, like Nehemiah Colin. That's our charity Facebook. And then mine, you can find me in arcagroup.com, which is our company. And we're 4. And then we all have the same desire to help people. That's we came together.
Nice. That's amazing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ciao, everybody.
Bye.